Good afternoon. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for Bike Church. Happy Father's Day for everyone who is a father, and for those of you who still have your fathers with you, and for those of you like me and like my daughter who do not, and my stepson, my stepdaughter, do not have your father with you. I hope you know that the Lord is your Father on top of everything else. This is not a typical, well, I want to read Psalms 23 because I heard a little bit of it referenced this morning, and the sermon that I heard this morning talked about how Jesus is our shepherd, but also good fathers shepherd their families. And he told a lot of good statistics, but anyway, it just made me want to talk about Psalm 23. So I'm just going to read that to you. Psalms 23 is always a good chapter to read. And mine is titled, I'm reading it out of the Christian Standard Bible, printed by Holman, published by Holman, which is always a good translation to me. Anyway, the Good Shepherd, and it's a Psalm of David, and it's Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. He lets me lie down in green pastures. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to stop and talk a little bit. I have a hayfield next to my house. It's probably 3 or 4 acres. And the young men came middle of this week. They cut the hay one day. And, of course, they cut the grass, hay. It was probably as tall as my head in some spots. And they cut the grass. And they let it lay. And, of course, they came back the next day and they raked it and fluffed it, and then they baled it. And the day after that, they let the bales sit where they are for several days, and then they move them. But anyway, after they cut it and raked it and baled it, the grass looks, because they cut it down real short, the grass looks brown. It doesn't look green. But now, yesterday it was green again, and today we got a shower and it was even more green. You can see that it's already growing again. And when a shepherd leads their sheep or their cows or their goats or whatever, they're going, if they're good, if they want to take care of them, they're going to take them to where there's green grass to eat. Dry grass is not nearly as good. So our good shepherd lets me lie down in green pastures, and of course while they're lying there, they're either eating or they're just enjoying being in the cool grass, but they're also able to eat when they stand up. He leads me beside quiet waters. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with sheep. I've talked about this before, but if they haven't been trimmed, sheep's hair, their wool is real thick. And if they were to get off in hard running water, they would get waterlogged and they would drown. They wouldn't be able to get themselves out because their coat would weigh so much they wouldn't be able to fight against the stream. So if they're in still water, if they get out there and they get wet, they can ease back to the shore and not be in trouble. And so that's why the shepherd takes them to still waters, quiet waters. He renews my life. He leads me along the right paths for his name's sake. Now, one thing that Pastor Micah said this morning was, you can be one of two things. You can be a sheep or you can be a donkey. And I know sheep are not the brightest animals in the world, but they have a herd mentality. And one of the things they do is they listen to their shepherd. If they've got any sense at all, they listen to their shepherd. And he takes care of them. But they also, if sheep see another sheep wandering off the wrong way, they'll call to them. They'll make the sounds that they make and call them back to the herd so that they don't get off and get lost. As long as they're paying attention. But I like that thought. You're either a sheep or a donkey. Now, again, I don't think sheep are the brightest animals in the world, but I would rather be a sheep than a donkey. Verse 4, even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And the King James Version says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the shadow of death is on the valley, but you walk through it. You don't get in there and stay. You walk through it because Jesus is there with us and he takes us on through. It's not the valley of death, it's the valley of the shadow of death. Verse 5, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when I eat, if I get nervous, if I'm in a crowd of people that I don't think they like me, or I think they're against me, or whatever, it's hard for me to eat. My stomach just, I get nervous and I just can't. And so, excuse me, to imagine not only being able to sit down and eat, but my enemies have to stand in front of me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. We are able to sit down and eat and be calm because Jesus has control over our enemies. Nothing that they do is going to be outside of his control. My cup overflows. I love that. Only goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord as long as I live. Now, I know we don't go live in church, but that's not where the house of the Lord is. The house of the Lord is where Jesus is. And if your house is where Jesus is, that's the house of the Lord. It's more about having his presence with you than you being in the building where he's supposed to be. So, and I want to read y'all this little note that's in here. It says, a sheep is one, and this is I can't see what it says. A sheep is one of the most unwise of creatures. It will go anywhere except in the right direction. It will leave a fat pasture to wander into a barren one. It will find many ways, but not the right one. It would wander through a forest and find its way through ravines into the wolf's jaws, but never by its wariness turn away from the wolf. It could wander near his den, but it would not instinctively turn aside from the place of danger. It knows how to go astray, but it does not know how to come home again. Left to itself, it would not know in what pasture to feed in summer or where to retire in winter. And I'm sure y'all have all seen the little picture. I just fell in love with it when I saw it. I'm sure it started out as a painting. I just got a print. But it's a little lamb who don't look like he even knows he's in trouble. He's standing in the middle of the forest. He's just standing there looking, like Brother Steve says, lost his last year's bird nest. He's standing there, and he knows he's lost, but he don't know he's in trouble. And one version of that painting has a ravenous wolf. That's all the only way I know how to describe it. Charging at the lamb from one side, coming, getting ready to just have dinner. And Jesus is coming running from behind to grab the lamb and take it to safety, even before the lamb even knows it's in trouble. And I love that painting. The one that I have is just the lamb and Jesus running, not just walking, but running up behind that lamb to get it and get it back to safety. And I love that picture because it's, I feel like that on a regular basis. Sometimes I don't know that I'm getting in trouble when I'm getting in trouble. But Jesus is faithful to be there with me. He doesn't always get me completely out of my trouble. Sometimes I have to, because I worked my way in there, I'm work my way out. He don't make it easy for me. Because you have to face your consequences. But anyway, I love that painting. And I said all that to say that dads, you need to be the shepherd of your family. If you go to church, chances are the statistics are way higher. If you go to church and serve God, your children will too. Mama can go, but if you stay home, the kids are not nearly as likely to continue going to church even after they get grown. So you've got a big responsibility to not only serve God, but to make sure that your children see you serving God and that it's important to you like it, and that it should be important to them. So this is my challenge. Be the shepherd you're supposed to be. Take care of those children that God gave you. Bless them, and they're going to bless you. Thank y'all for joining me tonight, and I will see you next week.